Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Hi, Gail, Renia, Krista, and Judy. How you doing today? So, today we're supposed to talk about making flower earrings. And hi, Beth. Oh well, it's a little bit harder to remember because it's not a fixed date. It's just the first Saturday of the month, so it can be any day, pretty much. Hi, Donna. Um, so, when we are talking about making flower earrings, what we have to think is that there are several parts of that earring that you have to consider. And now I'm going to practically give you a little bit of a live, more like the lives that I do for my sponsors. Hi, Donna. Hi, Joaquim. Hi, Rika, Ellen, and Jessica. So the first thing is to figure out what is the type of ear wire or contraption that you have, because that is very important. There are some things that you can do better with certain types of ear wire mechanism, because they are not all ear wires. And I brought a few. Just to be able to discuss. So number one, we have the regular ear wires that, generally speaking, these work for dangling earrings. I mean, these do not work for any other kind of earrings. And the thing that honestly I find the most infuriating about them is this little part, because you keep losing it. Hi, Space Oddity. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Chris. Then there's another type of earring that you can find both for ears with holes as well as for ears without holes, and these are the ones that I like. The ones for holes are the ones that I like the best, and they are really, because they have this little lever that makes it so you cannot lose them. And these go for a different type of flower, and you can find them also for earlobes with no holes. Gracias, Girasol. Hi, Jay. Hold on, let me try, because just out of the blue moon, I don't know how to. I want to make sure that I'm saying it correctly, so give me just a second for Girasol. Ok, so Girasol, si comienzas tu subtitulado, puedes ver la traducción después del live. No funciona ahora, solamente después. Ok, so, hi Sharon. Hi Jots Designs. So, another kind that, thank you Silver, that we can use, there are all kinds of other types that can practically be constructed in the same things, and these would be these ones that are practically like the lever ones, only that they don't have a lever, they just have the long thing, and I lost my local. Okay, so as you can see, You can do a flat, and I will discuss in a second what kind of flowers you can do with what kind of these ear wires. And then you have the other kind that goes pretty much like this. They are fairly flat and they have the backing, and these are also for earlobes with holes. Then these would go pretty much with both resin and high lane, both with resin and polymer clay. And then you have some other kinds that work better with resin, and obviously these would be more danglies. Now let's talk a little bit about what kind of flowers you can make for what kind of, these come, most of these come from, I told you I have a Chinese $1 jewelry store in my neighborhood. I haven't been there since March, but I usually go in there and I just grab a handful for like 20 bucks, and I just break it into pieces, stuff that I can use afterwards in my, unfortunately these are things that are just for my own creations, because obviously I cannot recommend you where to get stuff like this. As you can see, it's more difficult, but for tutorials I only use things that you can find mostly on Amazon and some on PolyClay, because I want the whole thing to be a kind of, you know, fair for everybody. Then let's talk about the type of flowers and how do you get them for the different, oh yeah, and then you have the ear wrap, and these are the ones that go around the upper part of the ear. Hi Anna. See, the ones that I cannot get it in close up, but these go on the outer part of the ear here, and you can do stuff with these as well. And you can combine, like I was talking yesterday about the Bajoran type of earrings that have something on the top of the ear in a ear wrap, and then you have something on the earlobe, and then you can put chains. And think how pretty those chains would look if you do flowers on them. Now, talking about what kind of flowers you can do on what kind of type of ear base, ear wire base. I don't know how to call it otherwise. So we have, generally speaking, we will have some round flattish flowers, right? Like daisies, like hellebores, like anemones. I mean, there are quite a bit of them. Even zinnias and stuff like that. And then you have the flowers that are longish. So from these ones from the on the side would be pretty much like this, right? This is front view and this is side view. Then we have the flowers that are longish, that frontal, they would look either like perfectly round or with petals, not so many petals, less petals, but from the side they would look pretty much like this. And then we have the bell-shaped ones, and the bell-shaped ones also look fairly roundish. And I mean, I'm not talking here about more special flowers like orchids and other stuff, but the bell-shaped ones look also roundish from the front, but they are not as long as the long ones. They are more like this. And here, as I said, would go the daisies, would go the marigolds, would go the hellebores, would go the anemones, violets, pansies, everything that's fairly flat. Here we would go with like lilies, trumpet vines, what other stuff is like this? I'm trying to remember. Morning glories, because they are fairly long, they are trumpety like. And then here you have like bellflowers, lilacs. I was trying to think, lily of the valley, and things like this. Now, depending on how the flower is, obviously a flattish flower, for a flattish flower you need a flattish back, and you can get it either directly on, let me grab this, directly in a smaller variant, and you can get it directly glued on the flat part of this kind of stuff. Yeah, fuchsia, bleeding hearts, foxgloves, yeah, but you know what I mean, right? So for the flattish ones, you'd go with these, with this kind, or with this kind, or you can make a flattish part of it and then have it dangle from here, or you can put it in the middle of one of these and have it dangle. Now, for the very long ones, generally the very long ones will dangle. I mean, the long ones will dangle no matter what. But your best bet is to make them dangle by the stem, or you can make them pretty much coming out of something like this. And that would be, let's say, if we get a lily and get this shape, right? And these are shapes that you can do, and you can make it teardrop shaped, or you can make it like this one. Then you'd have the lily practically sitting a little bit here, but then opening towards the front. So from the front it would look like this, but from the side, from the profile, it would look like this, and then you can kind of get it wrapped around the bottom so it wouldn't get bad. Oh, hold on. I am glad you're in Georgia, so it wouldn't get on, wouldn't come off. And as for the bell ones, bell-shaped ones, you have two variants, and they are both fairly, they require a fair amount of work, but one of the variants requires more work. And if you are familiar to the work of, let's say, Rusalina, who is the absolute goddess of polymer clay flowers, you know that you can get your flowers, your bell-shaped flowers, they need to be very, very tiny. So let's say that these are our bell-shaped flowers, and here we can go with miniature foxgloves or whatever, or we can do with lilac flowers in the real size, or lily of the valley flowers in real size. Only that what you are going to do for these, you're going to make them with a little hole here, and then use either head pins, or, and I'm going to go grab them here in a second, there's a type of pins that have a little ball, and you just make loops and attach them to a chain, and they look like little clusters that look absolutely gorgeous. And if you do something like this with wisteria or acacia or lilac flowers, they look absolutely fabulous. And the other way that you can do them would be kind of like I just had a brain blip. I knew what I was going to say, and it just went off my mind. It's that Hindu type of earrings that are half a sphere. It starts with a B. Oh God. This really sucks. Hold on. And there's all kinds of, I mean, they are also called minakari, but the more junka, not with a B. It's a junka earrings. So you do them on the principle of the junka earrings, and you can make them simple. So here you'll have the petals. And if you remember, I did a tutorial like this. Let me try and find. Give me just a second, because I did the tutorial with bell flowers. Where are you? Doesn't show me all of them. Let me try with bell. There we go. Go to bed. What do you want? Now he's going to make himself throw up just to spite me. Ugh. So I did this tutorial before with bellflower earrings, and I showed, see, they are kind of like junka earrings, and you can make all kinds of dangles on them, or you can actually get them one inside the other by using little beads with a loop, using an eye pin, and then again you would put, so it would go like this. This would be your flower, and then you'd have bead, use an eye pin, get it through the flower, and then when you come up out here, you're going to have another loop, and then you connect another loop, eye pin, bead, another loop, and this way they will look like they are pretty much one inside the other, and they make a very nice chandelier effect. You need to put these beads, and depending on the size of the bead, the bell part of the flower will be more separated or less separated from the other. So I was thinking to show you also what you can use to make these bell flowers. One of the best things to use are marbles. If you, but also it depends on the size that you want to use them. So you can put you can put your bell flowers, and let me grab a little bit of pearl and a little bit of translucent. And I roll the pearl inside the translucent. And this, you can make it with colors as well. It doesn't have to be completely transparent, but just by mixing a little bit of the pearl in the translucent is going to give it a little bit of color. It will still preserve transparency. And I'm not twisting, okay? I'm just and again making it in a string. You don't have to make the string perfectly even, but again cut it, and this will make you just lines, very fine lines. Do it like 4 or 5 times. And you will get a fairly good colored petal out of this, but with a lot of translucency, and with those lines will look like actual color in the petal. So this is the 3rd or the 4th time. I forgot. Yeah, Whisper's been really bad this last week. And I told you before about that. When he wants, it's like he's doing it on purpose. Because the moment I sit to start doing something, or the moment I find myself a good position on the couch, a position I'm not hurting in, that is the exact moment he comes and wants something. Be it food, be it go outside, be it, doesn't matter. Excuse me. And even if he just ate, even if he had water, even if he just went outside, that exact moment. And I told you, sometimes as much as I love him, because if I wouldn't love him, I wouldn't take care of him so much. He drives me nuts. But I know it's the senility. I just don't understand is why right then. I mean, he can watch me go around the house, do stuff, doesn't ask for anything. The moment I sit down to do something, or to, you know, just lay down on the couch, watch a movie, to get my back muscles stop screaming at me, that is when he wants something. Like right before the live, I always feed him, fill his water dish, make sure that he goes outside. You saw, he just came, that he wants something. Okay, so now I think I am pretty good in terms of the pearl there. And I went very small, because if I'm going to use a marble, my petals have to be slightly past the half of the marble. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to so my lines go like this, right? So if I want my petals to look okay, I need to change this from this to another one that goes like this. So I'm going to start pushing on the sides, to form pretty much another rectangle, but now the lines will be going from corner to corner. And now I can go ahead and first of all get my eyes. And the other thing that you need to do in order to do this is make baking little, not this one, make little nests for your marbles. So I'm going to get some soft aluminum foil. Don't use a heavy weight because that's much harder to use. Hi, Fran. Yeah, Judith, he's driving me nuts as usual. Okay, and I'm going to fan it so that I have it two lines that go this way. Pretty much, I didn't do it properly. Hold on. So half, and then I want to go, this has to be 1/3. So now I'm going to have 2 rows, and these have to be on the side to hold it straight. But in each of these 2 rows, I'm going to place a marble, right? So I'm going to create a little bit of a honeycomb pattern. Of course, you can make more than 2 rows if you so want and wish. But this is how I'm going to be able to place more than one marble to bake. And then I'm going to grab my little petals, and this is this, and I'm going to cut thin slices. And this is better when it's cold, right? And generally you need about 5, so you can get just 4, depends on how pointy your lozenge is. It's good, Judith. It's like 80s, so it's not too hot. We're gonna have some rain sometime tonight, I think. And then I can get a ball stylus. And this is the Armor All, so my ball stylus won't stick to the clay. I need to get another slice because this one was kind of thick, but it's hard to cut it when it's soft from working on it. And you want to pretty much do one end curved on one side and the other end curved on the other side. You can start by doing the whole thing if you want. And then go back and do one of the ends and then refine it. Or you can start from the very beginning with one end on one side and one on the other side, the other way. One side one way and one side the other way. I honestly prefer to start with all of it because it makes stuff more even. And then you grab your, see how I broke it here. Ugh. Hi, Carol. Yeah, for lilies you always need, but you don't have to, remember, you don't have to make always your flowers exactly, perfectly looking like a flower that exists in nature. You can make fantasy flowers the same as you can make fantasy stones. You don't have to name them in a certain way. If we all go just by what exists in nature and what already exists, we'll never go farther. You'd never see, for example, plants like the ones in Avatar, right? Because if everybody only copies what's in nature, then we get our, and it's a good thing, especially if you get the marbles that have these little pattern, because you can go right at the where this little thing is. And why you need to do this? Because never go past half of the marble, because you won't be able to remove your flower. Then you kind of can place it, but I prefer to do just one single holder. But if you want to do more than one, and then you can bring them all the way down until you get at the middle of the marble, and at that point you can shape your little petals however you want, and then you can place them. If you intend to do more than just by experiment, then I suggest you make little you know, like hard-boiled egg holders out of polymer clay, and that way you'll be able to set several and set them, you know, like in a, make first a base of polymer clay from scrap, then make yourself some of them, and you can fix them in place with whatchamacallit, toothpicks. So let me explain what I'm talking about, because I have some clay here. So you make yourself a base that you want to be, this is some pearl, but that's fine, that you want to be nice and even, so you don't have to worry about it, right? And then you get yourself, you don't want the pointy ends of the toothpick. Let's throw these away. Let's get this. And then first you want a little bit of clay on the base of this, and flatten it here. This is how you bake them to start with, right? Make a bead, flatten it, grab a marble, bring it to half of the bead, well, of course you need to be more precise than what I did here. You pretty much want to go a little bit less than half, just in case you want to make your flowers, and you can make these even thinner than this. Well, and there we go, something like this. And then you make yourself several of these little holders, bake it, and then when you have to place, of course after it's baked you remove the marble, and then whenever you have to make your little flowers you just bake them in the holders if you want. And you can find larger marbles. I think that I have them, I think I put them in the influencer store if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure. I think I put them in the baking blanks. If I didn't, I promise I will. Let me see. Of course you can use more expensive stuff. No, I did not. Let me just a second. Because you can find marbles of several sizes, and you can even use glass beads smaller than this for smaller flowers. Let me get my marbles, because some of them can be expensive when you try to buy them because they are collectibles. So, but you can find some kits that number one, make sure they are glass, but you can find some kits that are actually of different sizes for various games played with marbles. You can find them in 1 inch. You know, they are like players and shooters and stuff like that. So I added them in the baking blanks. Let me get the shooters. And it all depends on how big you want your earrings to be. And you can do the same thing. You can make little bell flowers also for necklaces if you intend to get them, you know, your little bell flowers. Let me post the link to the Amazon influencer store. If you can put the bell flowers on a chain for a necklace, not just for earrings. But this is the best way to make baking supports. You can practically do them like this, but I personally prefer to make them a little bit raised, for the simple reason that if you want to make a flower that has the petals a little bit longer and your support is right at the base, you won't be able to make it. But if your support is a little bit raised from the base, you know, like this, then you can place your flower over, and the petals can get over the button. Yeah, well, marbles are really good, and I got them for another reason. That's another tutorial coming up that's going to use marbles as baking blanks, and it's not flowers, it's something else. So this would be one of the ways. And as I said, you can use larger. Sometimes, most of the time when I have to bake bellflowers, because I have so many gemstone spheres, that is pretty much what I use. I use little gemstone spheres because I have some that are barely, that are like this, some that are a little bit bigger. I have them all the way, I think the largest, no, I actually have some like this, but the largest for doing stuff would be like this. And I have those cat's eye opals. I have like 8 or 9 of them, so I can make a whole series with them. Now, if you want to do another interesting thing that you can do, and there is, it works really nice when we talk about pointy flowers. It works really nice with translucent, colored translucent or plain translucent and alcohol inks, is to use starch, you know, just cornstarch, and you make a very, very thick custard, and then you make little oblong tubes with that starch. That would be about like this, and then you cover that in translucent clay, and then at the end here you can make little flowers. And what does that do? Once you bake it, when you put them in the water, the starch goes away. Hi Carol, remember I showed you before, and I have to revisit that with the clay inside the butter clay that I showed you how to do with the toilet paper and aluminum foil. And I did pods, and I did that little rattle for the kitty. Give me just a minute and I'll show you a, oh come on, I don't want to search anything anymore. It's on an organic stuff. You look at the oldest, because it was quite a bit ago. Yes, and there's another way to do little trumpet and trumpet vine and stuff. Let me just find this one. So I did this one with pods, and I showed you not just how to do empty pods, but how to do pods filled with something. In this one. And then another way to bake, another thing that you can use to bake trumpet type and bell type flowers is, of course, you can make something and you make it with paper like this, and you wrap it in aluminum foil. That's when I have a tutorial with Art Nouveau, but you can also buy the tips for the decorating syringe for Sugarcraft. Just make sure that you buy the metal ones, and what you do here, you just get them a little bit together. You use only paper tape, don't try to use another kind of glue or something. But use this, and then you cut them so they'd be fairly flat, and then you can do your flower around it. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that on a live because it requires boiling, so I think I'm gonna do that on a already made and uploaded tutorial. So the easiest way to do this kind of stuff, let me grab, I mean, yeah, you can use a pencil, but you might leave some stuff inside. Your easiest way to do this kind of flower is to use one of the sugar craft thingies. And you just pour it down, and of course you might want to put some armor roll on it first before doing anything else, before starting to shape it actually. And then you trim your flower. Of course you try to be more even than what I did here, and this is just to show you various tips. And then you struggle a lot to remove it because I didn't put not sure how well this is going to work, but I broke one of here. Oh well, you get the idea. First, make sure that first you put a release, don't leave it like this. Okay, and then you place your flower on your little cone or on the decorating tip of a sugar craft stuff. This looks like crap, but you got the idea. I'm sorry, Jessica, we kinda all do. You can actually create this directly on the, if you have something like this or a pencil or something, you can create it directly on the paper and then just dunk it in water. But there are a lot of ways to make the earrings. Now obviously when you have something like this, when you have the more longish, more trumpetish, they will have to be dangling by the stem. And if you make them tiny then you proceed like with the bell flower, or you can make them quite large. You can make them like an unopened lily bud, for example, and that goes absolutely smashing, especially if you make it translucent and if you use a little bit of color on it. And I will show something like that. But if you look, I think that comes up if you look on if you search Pardo translucent on, let me see, it's not mine, so somebody else did it. Let me see, I know that it was coming on that. Yes, she's showing here how to do the whole thing. Let me share it. It's the whole idea of the cornstarch. It's a lot of fun to try. I can tell you that it is a lot of fun to do stuff like that, and it is gorgeous. And there's a lot of other things that you can do with the custard, with starch. But nevertheless, I have here some feathers that I did for another project, and I didn't do the project in the end, but I can show you how to, let's say that this would be a lily. These would be the lily petals. So the way that you're going to work with it, you're going to first get an eye pin, and I don't have an eye pin here, but I'm going to make one, or something similar enough to an eye pin. Or you can get a head pin and use a bead, okay? And let's give it, come on, put my eyes on. And how do you get these beads? If you want to get beads feathers, if you want to get feathers exactly like this and using earrings, they are a mold that you can find both in my Amazon influencer store and on a PolyClay play. Okay, so here you either use polymer clay and make a bead at the end here on the loop, but you want to make the loop, okay? Because otherwise the wire will come out. Or you can just use a head pin and use a bead. Really need to get this. I have some pearl white that is super squishy and soft, and I need to get it bleached a little bit. And of course you would make the petals much thinner than I made these feathers, but if you want to go just with the feathers, you can go just with the feathers. And then you're going to ask me, how the heck am I going to bake this without messing up anything? Well, I'm gonna just place it on something that would do a minimal bad stuff. But of course it fell. Let me grab some 16 gauge. One metal. The wire is just wire. I don't know what metal. What did I show metal? I don't know. So you can use, I mean, this is 16 gauge wire that I get from home improvement stores. And you can make several of these, or you can use even thicker wire, even a coat hanger that's metal if you have the proper cutter. So this is with coat hangers metal. This is how I used to bake my dolls hanging. So what you do, you first make a loop, because you're going to have to hang stuff on it. And it's up to you how tall you want to make it, because it all depends on and of course you can mess up from here as well with the height of it. But you make a hanging contraption. Everything you're going to have to pay attention to is the center of gravity, and obviously this one needs to be a little bit taller than this for my tall thing. And this is just very soft. This is a 24 gauge. I wouldn't use a 24 gauge, but And pretty much this is how you would bake this kind of earrings. If you don't want to have to put them on anything, you just make little hangers. And this is how you bake them in your oven. As I said, your main thing is to make sure that the center of gravity is right in the middle, so they wouldn't topple while they are baking. But you can bake a whole bunch of stuff like this without being worried that it's going to get deformed while you're baking it. And I know this is a more unusual live, as we are not practically making anything. It's just me giving you all kinds of tips. But I promise you that you probably will find it in the long run more useful than me just showing you how to make a pair of earrings. Okay, so look forward, because I'm going to post soon, not today. It might be, it all depends on when I get my doctor's appointment. As I said yesterday, I need to go do my shoulder. So if it's gonna be tomorrow, then it means that it won't be tomorrow. It's going to be, if it's going to be Tuesday, then it might be tomorrow, because it hurts for a day after the shot in the shoulder. It hurts worse than it hurt before the shot. But after 24 hours, things get much better than they were before the shot. So you'll find this very, very helpful, because a tutorial is coming with a lot of flowers, and because I explain it, you can start doing your own things without waiting for the tutorial. Just do a lot of experiments and see how things go. But I did put the marbles in the influencer store. And remember, whenever you do anything on Amazon, if you buy anything on Amazon, if you go first to my influencer store, even if you don't buy anything, you carry my cookie and your prices won't change, but it helps me buy stuff. Because all these experiments and all these things, I need to buy the things in order to experiment with them. So next Sunday, I don't know what we are going to do. I have several things in mind, but it all depends on how this week unfurls. Talking about shoulder issues. But I can promise you it will be interesting. We might even make a pair of earrings, but you will see some stuff this week for sure coming up. And this is pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found the tips very useful, and we will do something interesting next Sunday. And look forward. I think that most likely it's gonna be Wednesday, but it's going to be a tutorial this coming week. I still have a little bit to work on it, and it should go. I'm trying to get a new intro, a few new intros, because I got some upgrades and updates to my video editing software. And even if I know how to do editing software, if I want to do something more special, I always need to learn some more. And in the last couple of weeks, I did go through some classes on the video editing, so hopefully the whole thing will be better from now on. Thank you so much for being with me, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on Facebook as well, because on Facebook I'm definitely going to post this coming week 2 giveaways. So don't forget Facebook. I'll announce them on YouTube, but on the community tab, the videos will not be on YouTube. They will be only on Facebook. Okay? Thank you. See you next Sunday. Have a wonderful Sunday. Goodbye.